you know, my name is Emily, not Sarah. My project, I named Burning Down the House because I got pretty close a few times. But for this project, what I did was test the burn time of tea light candles. And I had 3 different types of, or brands. They were all the same size, same color. They were non-scented or unscented, so they were as pretty close to one another as possible. Okay, my null hypothesis was that there will be no difference in the time that it takes for each candle to burn down. And burn time was from the time that I lit the candle until it burned like all the way down to where there was like no wax left and it was like that. So, the process, the first thing that I did was set up all these candles around my house. I did a couple of trials because I didn't want to burn like so many at one time, but then, I don't know if you can see it, you can just barely see, I put like Post-it note between them because I didn't have like 25 different stopwatches, so I used one stopwatch, and I started it when I lit the first candle, and then when I would light the next candle, I would just look at the stopwatch to see what time I lit it at. And then once it was over, I subtracted that time from the total time. Next, obviously lit the candles and started the timer, like I said, and made note of at what point I lit each candle on the Post-it note. The last thing to do was very fun, very exciting. Watch the candles for a really, really long time. And this is actually a video. It's probably the most exciting video you'll ever watch. Candles burning. Is it going? Did I stop it?
Yeah.
There it goes. So this lasted a really long time. And I didn't like sit and watch the candles burn, but obviously I had to like, I couldn't be like Jordan and like leave the candles in the room or like go somewhere with his mic. So I did have to sit at my house for a really long time, several times. Yeah, so that's what I did. That was my process. This is the data that I collected. I did it in seconds because when I did it in minutes, I know it looks like really huge numbers. When I did it in minutes, they were really just too close because like 5 or 6 candles would go out in 1 minute, so to kind of narrow it down and show the differences, I measured it in seconds. Here's the average for each one. For type 1, it was 11,160 seconds, which is, in more reasonable terms, about 3.1 hours. For type 2, the average was 11,332 seconds, which is about 3.15 hours. And for type 3, was 13,500 seconds, which is about 3.75 hours. And this is a graph of each individual trial, so you can kind of see that, I don't know if you can see this very well, but in type 2 there were 2 like really random outliers. So most of them were pretty normal, and then these 2 candles, like one night I thought I was going to be done by like 11:30, ended up staying up till like 12:30 watching these 2 last candles burn out of like this huge group. So anyway, they're outliers. I don't really know. I don't have an explanation for that really. But as you can tell, these are type 3 burn quite a bit longer. And here's a graph of the averages. And again, you can see that that type 3 was, type 1 and type 2 are pretty close. Type 3 was kind of, they burned quite a bit longer. And it doesn't look like a huge gap, but it's actually about 2,000 to 3,000 seconds, which is about like 30 to 40 minutes, so it is quite a big difference, you know, you're thinking about the candle burning. So to analyze the data, I used a t-test. I compared type 1 and type 2 first, and got this as my p-value. So for type 1 versus type 2, I failed to reject the null hypothesis. For type 1 versus type 3, this was my p-value, which, and this is on a 95% confidence level, interval, whatever. Sorry. So this was like way past that, as you can see. So I rejected the null hypothesis in this case. And then again, for type 2 versus type 3, it's pretty significant. So I rejected the null hypothesis again. And in conclusion, type 3, in fact, was the cheapest brand. I know tea lights are pretty, or tea light candles are really cheap in general, but type 3 3 was actually the one from the Dollar General store. The other 2 came from Walmart. So I guess I would say if you want to burn a tea light candle as long as you can, go to Dollar General. So, are there any questions?
I do just have a comment. I understand why you used the font that you did, because with the
I know,
candles,
it's kind of really.
with the candles, you're trying to show that formal thing, but that is something that you always want to
Yeah.
keep it, because
Well, I
had
try
you,
not to put too many words on it, so.
yeah, well, hey, yeah, had you not been reading it to us from back here, it would have been difficult.
Right.
And I failed to make the same comment. I can't remember, was it you, Kelsey, that had the type that bounced in some? Who had the type that?
I'm like, from the bottom.
Yeah. I just call it busy type, I think you always just want to limit that in your presentation, because the people in the back of the room can find themselves hypnotized by what's going on. And students don't need anything to be hypnotized, believe me.
Any other questions?
What made you choose candles as your
Well, I like candles. I like to burn candles out in the house. I don't usually choose to light tea light candles as much as other candles, but to burn a huge candle down would have taken forever, seeing as how this took 3 to 4 hours. So really like, I guess, just a condensed version of normally burning candles is what it is. So, anybody else?